So I think at this point, what I'm planning to do is I'm going to show you what WeVideo looks like. I realize that many of you may not decide to go forward with making this purchase. But the reason why I'm showing it to you is for a few things. One, there is a free version. You can do up to 5 minutes of exported video per month. It will have a watermark on it. It will not be high definition if you decide to use the free version. But for some of you, that may not really matter. The other reason why with WeVideo, for two more reasons, it does work on all devices. So there is a app version, there is a Chromebook. It's great for a Chromebook. It also works on PC, Mac. It doesn't matter because it's web-based. So it's pulling it from the cloud. You can pull all of your files from Google Drive, which is what I'm going to show you, into there. So it's not like it's taking up a bunch of storage. Many of you already know that video files take up a lot of room on your computer. So that's why I have moved a lot of my projects that I normally would have local to the computer. I've put them in WeVideo for that reason, because if they're, if I have 2 hours of Mary Poppins to bring in that I only need a 10-second clip, I don't want to have to drag that down from Google Drive, that whole 2 hours of video, to only get 10 seconds. I'm able to use a product like WeVideo, and it keeps it up in the cloud and it doesn't affect my computer. The final reason why I brought up WeVideo is because this is like next step, but in a lot of video editing, a lot of the terminology is the same, a lot of locations, a lot of the interface content is the same. So no, it's not going to look exactly the same as iMovie or exactly the same as Windows Movie Maker, but the concepts are there, and I think they'll translate well if you decide to use one of those products instead. You'll see that I did put some information about the costs associated with it if you were to look into this, going forward. There is a classroom license. Some of the departments in the district do have, like in small cases, they have licenses for WeVideo. They do accept POs, but the price did just go up. And it's also in the middle of pandemic, and we have no money for anything. So it's kind of, if you didn't already have this budgeted for, this coming school year, it may be hard to expect that your supervisor or the building principal is going to be able to find money for you to do this. There's certainly a great value with it, that you can have up to 30 licenses. So they don't have to all be kids. Give me 30 licenses that you share in your department. They're not judging to see which one's a student, which one's a teacher, just 30 licenses for a year for $300. So you're talking $10 a person. It used to be $200, but they just raised the price. So thanks, WeVideo. If you decide to do this on your own, it's $60 a year for an individual license. There are not as many features at that level. The education one has more tools, more things available to it than that like beginner level individual license does. You would have to pay more money per month to have the features that you would see in the education license. And I did say that, that is going to be a cost if you decide to go that direction. But in comparison to other video editing software, remember, we're talking from, we went from trimming photos, videos on our phone using the free things that are on there. Maybe we paid the $5 to buy the iMovie app, or we're using the free version that's on our computer. So we've moved past that point. So this would be like, if you're ready to go to the next level, this is as cheap as it could get and have a lot of the editing features that you would expect in professional video editing equipment. Adobe Premiere, which is like the industry standard for editing, that's at $15 a month, and it doesn't include Photoshop or any of the other tools you're familiar with for Adobe. So at $15 a month, you can get Premiere. If you wanted to buy it outright, Final Cut Pro is what I use. I use Adobe Premiere too for EHT, but on my own, I use Final Cut Pro. It was the $300 one-time cost. It used to be $1,200, and I bought that at that time. So needless to say, $300 is a lot cheaper than $1,200, but $60 a year is a lot cheaper than $300. So I just want to make sure you understood in comparison why I'm having you look at WeVideo with that sort of mindset. So I will bring you into WeVideo in just one second, but I do have this, I realized I was not presenting, so let me do that. So this is the screenshot real fast of what the price breakdown is and the things that it includes. So feel free to reference that later if you decide you want to, budget for the future or just on your own. Those are some of the specs that you would need to know. Now on this screen, I have my editing timeline. Timeline is a universal term, whether you're using any of the other video editing software. Think of the timeline as that's the area that you're using when we talked about non-linear yesterday. So you're able to move things in different points in the timeline, and timeline translating into it doesn't have to be in order. You can click and drag to move things at any point in the video. And this is what, from beginning to end of a video, what it might look like in your timeline. So can anyone tell just by looking at this how long the video is? How long is this video the way it is right now? Any guesses? Very quiet on the internet.
Is it 51 minutes?
51 seconds.
Oh, no.
But you were
51 seconds.
Yes, but you were on the right track. So that was good. So the way that video editing time code works is the first zeros are for hours, then it's minutes, then it's seconds. If there's an additional number after that, that's usually how many frames. If you ever watch like a behind the scenes of how Disney cartoons are made, they talk about how you have to draw like 7 or more pictures to get a second worth of video. That's what frames are. So how many frames does it take to get to 1 second, and then how many seconds does it take to a minute, and that sort of thing. So in this example, you can see that I could zoom in closer or I could zoom out, and I have it in this example that every 5 seconds it gives you an indicator of how long you are in the video. So you can kind of see that first piece, that black part where it says sample text, is somewhere about 7 seconds long, because it's longer than the 5 seconds, but it's not as long as 10 seconds. If you're making a video slideshow, like you're taking a bunch of pictures and putting it together, usually you don't want a picture to be up on a screen more than 5 seconds long. If you're talking about text and you want to make sure that the text is up long enough for someone to be able to read it, you should watch it yourself and see if you can read it 2 times over before it goes away. So if it takes you 4 seconds to read it on your own and you know what it says, you should try to read it for 4 seconds, then multiply that. Okay, so it probably needs to be on the screen at least 8 seconds for the viewer to be able to understand it, retain it, and be able to move on from that point in the video. So in this example, and you'll see this in WeVideo when I open it up in a minute, there's 3 layers that it starts you out with. Layers are just like you see here. Your video can have more layers. It can have less layers. You're going to at least have 1. Usually it's 2, because 1 is for video and 1 is for audio. WeVideo starts you out with 3, so that you have what's called a B-roll layer or a video layer 2 overlay video. They're all interchangeable words. What that means is if you ever watch the news for a news package, that's the technical term for when they cut away to now we're going to, go to so-and-so in Atlantic City with more information about the casino's opening. And the guy will start talking on the microphone for a little while, and then you'll start seeing pictures of the casinos, and you'll start seeing, the roulette table or whatever it might be. Those cutaway shots are called your overlay or your B-roll. That's what makes the video more interesting to watch, so you're not just watching a talking head the entire time. That talking head part of the video is your video 1. So when you record yourself on webcam, or like how you're watching me on Google Meet, and it's just me talking that entire time, that is your A-roll. That is your main video consistency throughout the entire video. If I cut away and show you my slides, or if I bring up, a website, that would be my B-roll, my things I cut away to. This is the reason why I want you to know these things is if you start to do more advanced editing beyond using your the free tools that we've talked about so far, the more layers that you have on top generally will make it for a more interesting video. But also with that, like if you think of like Screencast-O-Matic, like I showed you yesterday, and how I was able to like minimize and bring it bigger and smaller, that's all brought in as one flat video layer in a closed system like Screencast-O-Matic. If you are bringing in more advanced video, like maybe you shot video outside, or maybe you have a picture of the textbook that you want to show them or something like that, those additional features are going to be brought in as these B-roll or overlay videos in this video too. Whatever is on top, the most high up, is going to override whatever's underneath. So you can see that my text is going to override on top of what I have at this video piece. At this next point where this kind of orange globe is, it's going to cut away and show this orange globe on the screen before it then goes back to the next piece of video. I do want to say that the amount of information I just gave you was probably a whole marketing period's worth of Communications Academy information. So if I went too fast or you need more clarity on something, please let me know before I continue to go over some more of the terminology and things that we're looking at on the screen. How do we feel? We okay?
Leanna?
Yeah.
Hi, it's Dawn. If I did something on Screencast-O-Matic, then can I go to WeMovie to edit it, or no, Screencast-O-Matic's only for Screencast-O-Matic?
You definitely can bring it into WeVideo still.
Okay.
I would say for some, it kind of depends on really how advanced you want your video to be. If you're happy with your Screencast-O-Matic video, or you're happy with your Google Meet recording and you don't want to do anything to it, you can still use it that way. WeVideo would then kind of bring it in to enhance it or do more things with it than when you just recorded it by yourself.
Okay, so why would I want WeMovie or WeVideo?
This would be for people who are making more advanced video content. Okay. When you think of any of the videos that the kids at the Communications Academy make, they're not using, their phone to make edits, or they're not just using Screencast-O-Matic. They're getting interview video, or they're recording things over different days or something like that. So you would need to bring it into a system like this in order to make a more advanced video. Someone who does this really well, if you're looking for somebody in district who does it, Mike Martirone, he kind of runs the social media channel for social studies. He does use iMovie, but it's using, he cuts into different pieces and shows pictures and adds voiceover. And that's a really good example of something that could be done in WeVideo. It's more advanced.
Okay, thank you.